Hi guys, it's some time since we last did a video together. So Udita, as you all know, Udita and I are working on a book project which will cover the 2022 economic and political crisis. But today I'm not going to talk about that. I'll be talking about Udita's latest book, that is Enduring Works, the Thomian Journey, which was launched on February 6th, if I'm not
Seventh.
7th actually. So, Uditya, what do you have to say about this? Because I went through the chapters of this book. It captures the
before
history
it
of
was
it captures the history of St. Thomas's from Motwall to Mount Cleven, yeah. But what interested me a lot about this book is how you brought in the social transformation, especially the economic and political changes, and how it influenced, how those changes influenced the history of St. Thomas's College. So I want to hear it from you on how St. Thomas has influenced the Sri Lankan society, pre-colonial and post-colonial era.
well, colonial and post-colonial more correctly, but you know, this book took 8 months to write.
Yes,
Well, it took about 2 months to write, but 8 months to write and complete and everything. The approach I took is basically a simple question: to what extent does a school have an impact on the history of a society? And I think it's also valid to a lot of the work you also did when you were at your school as part of the archives committee, as well as what else?
Archives
Magazine editorial.
committee, the Royalist magazine, and also I work with the history club
So
in
how
some
do you
projects.
see the line between your school and the history of the country? I think that's the same answer I would give you, but how would you see it?
It's it's a very difficult questions to answer. But if you take the developments, the colonial period, post-colonial period, it really didn't impact our school, and our school was
The
established
independence
in
movement?
the independence movement, the language policy, and also changes in 1970s all influence our school. And also it's important that most of these the people who are involved in these changes also came from our school as well as from the St. Thomas's College. So yes, both schools had a lot to do with the changes that happened from 1948, and they still influence. I mean, people from Royal and St. Thomas's, they still influence the political spectrum in Sri Lanka as well as internationally.
Internationally.
Yes. So when I tell about international changes, so how did St. Thomas's get? I mean, they influenced the Sri Lankan political culture. It's W.R.D. Bandaranaike, D.S. Senana, Dudley Senanaike. And whereas from Royal, we had John Kotalawala, J.R. Jordan, and Ranil Wickremesinghe. So these people of St. Thomas's, how did they influence the political culture in Sri Lanka, and also how they raised their voices for the country, especially in the international arena?
International arena. Well, I mean, if you look at the history of politics in the country, where do we begin? We begin with Ceylon National Congress. We begin with the left, the LSSP. SLFP comes much later.
UNP came in 1940s, right after the
1946, and
46.
transformed. It was basically an evolution from the National Congress.
Yeah, what is interesting is both the UNP and SLFP both were started by two Thomians.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The phenomenon of royalist heads of state came much later.
Yes.
But you know, there was Dahanayaka, there was Dudley Senanayaka. Dudley Senanayaka was prime minister thrice,
Yes.
including once as in a very brief period of time in 1960. Everything changed after 77. But what I can say for a fact is that if you look at the major political parties of the early 20th century, the left, including the left, if you look at some of the leading left figures, they were all from this school. What is interesting is that St. Thomas's was also associated a lot with the colonial elite.
Yes, they did.
Defenders of colonialism. The wardens were very much associated with colonial governors. So the question that I'm throwing back at you is, how relevant do you think these institutions are? I mean, you come from a totally different social class. I come from a totally different social class to the kind of people who attended these schools in the early 20th century. Do you think that the strength of these schools lies in how they have been able to adapt to the times?
more like adapt is a good word, but more like nurturing people from time to time. That's how I see. I mean, St. Thomas's Royal, you take all these institutions, they produce great people right from its beginning, from their beginnings actually. So the upbringing and everything and the impact that they had on all these people actually influenced the policies and also the situation in Sri Lanka from 1948 up until now. So that's how I see it. And also the culture that both schools had and still have.
Well, from an English speaking culture, we have transformed, no?
Yes, now, yeah, I mean, both schools, still that culture is pretty much there in both schools. I mean, English and Sinhala speaking culture, both are there. But the only thing is the circumstances have changed. Now, if you
We
go
don't
to
speak the Queen's English, no?
No, they don't speak the Queen's English, but they still speak good English and they still.
Not in an accent.
Not with an accent, but they also influence the Sinhala language. Now, if you take prominent figures have come from St. Thomas's, who is also, I mean, I'm not going to mention his name, but he is the head of the Sinhala department at UOC.
Yeah.
And I was very, how do you call it? I was very amazed by the way how he conducted the event in English and also
mean the launch of the book?
The launch of the book and also how he conducts himself in Sinhala language interviews and also
The bilingualism.
the bilingualism. That's what I'm referring to. So St. Thomas's, even though we see that a lot of St. Thomas's they engage, I mean they do their conversations in English and they think people think that they don't converse in Sinhala.
Yeah.
But it's not.
The reality is different.
The reality is different, and St. Thomas's is much more diverse than people think.
So your final 2 cents on this book? I mean,
It's a very good recount of what happened from Motwal days, 1851 Motwal to Mount Lavinia. I have also engaged with a lot of Thomians during my school days. I have participated in sports encounters with them, and yes, interesting characters I have met throughout their journey, and also the references we had. But altogether, what I can say is I've done collaborative projects with this school. It was very easy to work with St. Thomas's, and they understood that we also had our different, they also had ours. But ultimately, we got together and did something. That's the thing. The St. Thomas's and Royal, they have this
rivalry
sense,
and friendship.
the friends and the sense of working together, that cohesiveness.
Cohesiveness.
Yes.
So my final question: what happens in another 9 years or so when you all celebrate your 200th? No.
Yes, in 2035
You can
we'll be
expect
celebrating.
surprises.
Yes.
You might be involved in something. You never know.
We might be involved, but I don't want to get carried away. But let's see.
It'll be a big occasion.
It will be a big occasion because
I mean, in another 25 years, STC will be celebrating its 25th. That's 200th year.
Our 175th anniversary in 2010, and I remember we had celebrations. We had this walk from school to, I think,
Halsdorf.
Not Halsdorf. We had a huge, there was a carnival and all the stuff was done back in 2010. I was in grade 2, just 2 years into my school life. So yes, good memories and
hopefully better yet to come. Better memories to
so
come.
200 years we'll have a lot. So we will celebrate our 200, but what you need to remember is we celebrated 100 years at Redia in 2023 when I was a prefect. So celebrations have been there for some time at Royal. So St. Thomas is also celebrating. They did a great job with this book launch. I'm sure they did a great job with their Founders Day, which was actually 2-3 days before this launch.
Yeah.
And I think this continues until the end. They have a program.
They do have a program lasting the entire year.
And not to forget that they will be having the 147th or 48th Battle of the Blues next month. That will also be an interesting encounter, and 150th Royal Thomian will also happen in
1879.
1879. I
that
think
means it's 147th,
and 150 will be in another 3 years.
That will be another big celebration.
Yes, so the Royal Thomian rivalry is bigger than you think. And it has had, I mean, Royal Thomian, when it comes to Royal Thomian, people think that's only the cricket big match, but no, there are other sports as well.
Including hockey.
Hockey, football, rugby, everything is there.
Those came more recently, I think.
More recently, some have been.
rowing came in the 60s.
Some have been competed sometimes, some are very recent. Recently included. But
hopefully that's another
video that we can do on. But what I wanted to highlight is your latest publication, that is Enduring Works. Where can people purchase this book?
You go online to the 175 years official website at St. Thomas's College. Click purchase fill in your details, and buy this book.
Buy this book.
The link is on this video. You can go click it if you want.
And last words on this publication. You took, I mean, you did a great job. I saw how hard you worked to get this publication. And yes, last words on this publication.
Well, I'll leave the last word for this follow-up video. I will be talking something related to the themes we've been discussing in this video. But all in all, I've thanked a lot of people in this book, my research assistants, Utpala, Nimsara, the usual crowd who helped me.
Got you into the school histories and other stuff.
Indeed, they are gratefully acknowledged in the book. But there's a lot to discuss about and beyond this book. That's in our next follow-up video.
Yes, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys with another one.